Good afternoon, everybody. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talks MLB update, and we finally made it to, I guess we'll call it the real opening day, although it's still not the real opening day. We did get started with a couple of games in Korea a couple of weeks ago. We start out not in Cincinnati where we normally would on its own, not normally, but back in the heyday of baseball in my mind. When Cincinnati had their own standalone opening day exposure. We had a bunch of games yesterday. We had a couple of cancellations, but listen, at least half the games played at night besides. In March, Nets trying to play a game in March, opening day in March. They're playing today. They were tied 1-1 last I saw. We'll take a look at the scoreboard from last night, scoreboard from today soon, and we'll look at some of the more interesting highlights of yesterday. Ohtani gets a standing ovation. We'll talk more about his situation. Orioles and Corbin Burns open up hot. Glasnow, speaking of the Dodgers, opened up hot. Surprise heroes in Cincinnati. The Yankees with an exciting comeback win yesterday. I don't know about the incredible throw I keep hearing about from Soto. It was a nice play. And, to me, an easy Major League Baseball out. But again, nice game for the Yankees yesterday. I don't want to be too hard on them. I want to welcome everybody who's watching us today on TGI Sports Talk, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, or even the Roku channel, the Northeast Streaming Sports Roku channel, which you can watch on the Roku app. All you got to do is download that Northeast Streaming Sports channel, and you can watch us there. You can't comment there, unfortunately. You need to do that on Facebook or YouTube. I think on Twitter. I still don't have confirmation whether we see comments come through from Twitter or not. And we do encourage your comments, as you well know. Also, shout out to those watching us on Let's Talk Sports on their YouTube channel today, and then all the groups that will and continue to allow me to share this to their pages. Groups like the Sports Authorities with John Gonzalez and the Bottom Line Sports and places like that. And you guys come into the show and say hi, and we'll certainly give you a shout out each and every show, whether it's this show or any of my shows. So quick shout out to Ralph Williams at RW Media. Check out his stuff, especially the Sports Corner with Smokin' Jim Frazier every Tuesday from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern time on WBVP radio. And I was on there last Tuesday at 5:00, and we'll share that. If I haven't shared that, I will put it on the page. And thumbs up DDH. So see who's with us here quickly this morning. I see Chris out there for sure. There's Drew. Good afternoon, Mr. Ehrlich, Mr. Engle. Drew and I did our MLB update or MLB preview Tuesday night. We had some technical difficulty with the audio, and it's nobody's fault. If anybody, it's my fault. I think in some of the rejiggering I was trying to do on the fly, I probably made it worse rather than better. We'll make sure when we have Drew on again, we check some stuff out. That falls entirely on me. So, and I found out when I went on one of the other, I guess, on another show on Wednesday, they couldn't hear me at all. So whatever I had done, you guys were telling me my volume was low. I thought I was adjusting something for Drew, and I think I adjusted it for me. I found out you could probably the best way to hear me is when you can't hear me. But in any event, we'll talk about those predictions as we go along through the year, and we'll recap some of that as we go along. But you can hear Drew better than me, so he had a lot more intelligent stuff to say than I did. Chris, good morning. I'm sorry, good afternoon. I keep doing that, right? It's ballpark hot dog season. How do you like your dog? Boiled, grilled? Gotta have it grilled. If you're in the ballpark, I can deal with boiled if I'm in the ballpark, but I want it at least on those rollers, right? I know I'm not getting a barbecued, a grilled, let's say, dog. Boiled dogs. Sometimes at the ballpark you got to live with it, but there's something about a ballpark dog with mustard and a beer that screams I love America. 7-Eleven roaster oven. Now, those rotisseries aren't so bad. The boiled ones, oh, God. Can't do it. When I was a kid, it was great, but can't do it now. Good afternoon, Rick Sherlock. How are you? Sorry for the insult earlier. I'd made a comment. What was the comment I made on Mac and Jack this morning? I can't remember what it was now, but it really, when it was repeated back to me, it did sound idiotic. So Rick had made a comparison to me and our current vice president. And while it is quite an insult, I don't take it as such, because funny to me is always funny. And that was a very funny line, Rick. So thank you. No apology necessary. Electronic interface shenanigans, not human error. Well, who knows? There may have been a problem with Facebook or StreamYard. Could have been anything. We've been good since then, and we'll figure it out. It's probably a glitch for that one day, so we're not going to worry too much about it. Lots of great games yesterday, though. Boiled microwave dogs are a crime against humanity. Thank you, Drew. You know, for whatever reason, I was a kid, we always boiled hot dogs. I have no idea why. Maybe because of the speed and convenience, right? We didn't have microwaves, obviously. Didn't want to dirty a dish, so we had a frying pan. We had to clean it. Grills were, charcoal. We weren't going to waste that, or spend time waiting for the charcoal. So, in any event, there's nothing like a dog in a ballpark. Dave Guyette in Amsterdam, New York. How are you? Big win for your Yankees. My Yankees yesterday. Now, again, I'm not going to, it's one game, but it always feels good to win on opening day, right? And they fell behind in this game. I want to say, if I'm not mistaken, they fell behind this game 4-0. Am I correct? Yes, 4-0. The bullpen pitched tremendous. Nestor, not so great. Bullpen pitched really well. Loaizaga, key to this season is going to be the health of Loaizaga, and he showed yesterday why with 2 solid innings. He did give up 4 hits, but no runs. Holmes comes in. Soto kind of does save the day in the 9th inning. But, incredible throw. I think I read in the Post headline today. It's not an incredible throw. That's just a basic Major League Baseball play. Catcher made a better play than Soto in my mind. But a nice win for the Yankees, and a nice start for Soto yesterday. He goes 1 for 3. No exciting. Cabrera does start at third base and goes 2 for 4. We need Orlando Cabrera, to be what he was 2 years ago and not what he was last year. So good job by him. Rizzo, who I think is probably another key to this. I did pick him to be my comeback player of the year in the American League. We need him to come through. I mentioned some other good pitching performances around the league too. Glasnow pitched really well for the Dodgers, 6 innings. I think no runs. Corbin Burns was excellent yesterday, 11 strikeouts in 6 innings, and the Orioles dismantle the Angels 11-3. The Tigers with a nice outing from my Cy Young pitcher Skubal, dealing it up there at about 98 yesterday, early in the season. Be careful, guys. It's March. But they win 1-0 over the White Sox. The Twins win over the Royals. Pablo Lopez with a nice start. Pirates come back and win 6-5 yesterday. Dodgers, as I said, 7-1. Standing ovation for Ohtani. What the hell? Where's that noise coming from? Good evening, everybody. Hang on. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports. I have no idea. We got stuff coming through my head here. God. All of a sudden the show just started up in my head. It's on my phone. Good grief. I think maybe it's Gremlins, Drew. I don't know. We talked about Ohtani this morning. Obviously, every show I've been on now for a week and a half has been talking about Ohtani and his issues. Look, they're going to play out. The only real key thing that matters here, did he bet on baseball? Or maybe it's not even did he bet on baseball? It's did he know baseball was being bet on? And I still have my doubts, but you can't suspend this guy. We talked this morning, and Matt New Yorker talked about suspending him now and getting it out of the way. You can't suspend a guy for being stupid. I mean, how you can get $4.5 million stolen from you from your interpreter? I mean, your financial people, maybe. Nobody's stealing $4.5 million from me. My wife could probably do it. And that's it. Nobody else could ever go and say, get my money. I mean, I suppose hackers or somebody could do it. I hope not. But their interpreter? I mean, he's there's either more going on here, or he's the stupidest human being on the face of the earth, outside of the person Rick Sherlock compared me to this morning. Thanks for the help earlier, Commissioner. I guess that's for you, Drew. Good afternoon, Steve. How are you? Yanks Clemson. Great call. Steve Orpello, and we'll just talk about this for a second, and we'll talk more about it Sunday, because I like Clemson to get to the Final Four now. We talked about them a lot Wednesday night. Good win for Clemson last night. Good win for Alabama, getting to their first Elite Eight in quite a while. But today we'll concentrate on baseball, and Sunday we'll recap all that NCAA news for sure. But good picks there, Stephen. Already lost Justin Steele and Royce Lewis from my fantasy team due to injury. I've been busy picking up injured players. I've decided to corner the market on injured players. Justin Steele gets hurt yesterday, and the Cubs, what did the Cubs do yesterday anyway? They lose 4-3 to the Rangers on a walk-off home run. This was an interesting ninth inning in this game, I believe. I think they had a home run in the ninth inning to either bring them closer, tie it, and then Jonah Heim, the catcher, won it with a walk-off base hit in the ninth inning. So congratulations to the Rangers. I'm not high on them this year, as we know, but for whatever reason, I've got this in my head that the Rangers can't be as good as they probably are. I don't know why. Blue Jays win 8-2. Reds win 8-2. Interesting story there in that game is, what's this guy's name? I got to catch it. Nick Martini. Is it Nick? I want to make sure it's Nick. I think it's Nick. Yeah, Nick Martini, who wasn't even supposed to be playing, who wasn't even supposed to make the team, gets an opening day start at DH, I guess partly because of injuries to McLean and maybe some others. He goes 2 for 4, 5 RBIs, 2 home runs. Hit a home run in his first at bat and a second at bat. So what a great story for him yesterday. What do we got here? Oh, Mugwai, don't waste them. Chicago with regional steamed hot sogs. Here's the name of a guy who still has the fire. Dallas Keuchel. Is he? Did he make a team? Or did I miss something? Because Dallas Keuchel's best days are certainly behind him. I know that he was with the Diamondbacks, I think, last year for a bit. Maybe somebody else. Good pitcher at one point, but again, long line of sad stories of guys who don't go away. Haniger looks at rejuvenated. Yeah, it's funny. We don't want to jump to too many conclusions, I don't think, for Dewey Drew. Mary, what Haniger do yesterday? I haven't even checked out his numbers. Haniger goes 2 for 3 with a home run yesterday. Okay, well, that's fine. You know, he's going to hit 240 with 20 home runs, 25 home runs. So, you know, from his fantasy standpoint, he's probably pretty good. In real life baseball, not a big fan. The A's had about, I don't know, let's see if they announce the attendance. It looked to me like there was about 47 people in the stands yesterday. And you might as well get used to this in Oakland. Let's see, did they announce the attendance here? I don't know if this box score does that. No. Let me see. I thought I saw somewhere where they had the A's fan protest, and maybe this is just a fan protest. They did it in the locker room. I know that The announced crowd was 13,000. I'd be shocked if there were half that many people in that building. And Oakland, I'm sorry. I said this before, guys. They're going to Vegas, as you know. They're getting a new building built for them. The city wouldn't build them a building. Okay. I'm not all for taxpayers paying for, luxurious new buildings anyway. But A's fans, you got yourselves to blame. You have not ever, that I can remember, gone out and supported this team. Whenever winning World Series in the 70s, 3 in a row, you came out for playoff games, but the place was not even half full during the season. And I'll give you a warning. Tampa fans, specifically, get out and support your team if you don't want them to leave. There's a lot of hungry cities. Nashville comes to mind right away. Looking for major sports, I should say, not just Major League Baseball. Get with it. Guess the Diamondbacks can hit after all. 14 in one inning. The Diamondbacks did have a great start yesterday. Oh my gosh. What was the score of that game? Let's take a look at some of the numbers from that game. And again, we certainly didn't think they wouldn't hit. And one of the reasons I was a little down on the D-backs this year compared to last year is I don't like the two guys they stuck in the middle of this lineup that are, swing and miss guys. But, yesterday worked out pretty well for them. 18 hits overall. Scored 16 runs. Pretty good day for the Ketel Marte goes 3 for 5. Gurriel Jr. goes 3 for 5 with a home run. Walker goes 2 for 4. Moreno 2 for 4. A lot of 2 for 4s. There's a lot of guys with 2 hits in this lineup. And I see Jock Peterson playing second base. Wow. Only 1 home run. 16 runs, 1 home run. That is Diamondbacks baseball, Drew. What I'm worried about is them getting away from that, right? And maybe that's what you're referring to. So for one day, they still played Diamondbacks baseball. 1 home run, 16 runs. I like to see that. Cole has a elbow problem, trying to avoid Tommy John surgery. The news when he went to see one of the most acclaimed baseball surgeons about his injuries, he would not need surgery. He's probably out until at least June. And they're going to try to correct this with rest. I have my doubts. Drew thinks he'll pitch. I think if he pitches, it may not be for long. I think this injury could be worse than what they let on, because I've lived this with the Yankees before, with sports teams before. They aren't honest about these things a lot of times. But there is a flip side. If they know, then why wouldn't you have the surgery now? You're going to miss all of next year anyway, or all of this year anyway. The longer you go deeper into next year. So we'll see what happens, Steve. But he's definitely got an elbow problem, trying to avoid, an arm problem, trying to avoid Tommy John surgery. So we hope he does. He's important to the Yankees' chances. Nestor didn't pitch well yesterday, but it's hard. It's very hard. We're starting the season early. It's 3/28. I don't think we get enough spring training. These guys aren't ready to pitch yet. Some guys are. Burns and Glasnow, as we said, came out of the gate rocking yesterday. Kuchel. Out of the gate. Kuchel. Whatever. He's washed up either way. Doesn't matter. Had a good run, though. Kuchel and Kuchel both had a good run. Rick's thinking after 6.5 years, I would need an interpreter on my wife. Only my wife could get my $4.5 million. Great. How do you, guys, and again, I don't want to jump to conclusions. But listen, remember, his people said out of the gate, they didn't say $4.5 million. They did say they knew There was an issue. He paid off his debt. They paid off his debts. He promised never to do it again. Nobody mentioned $4 million. The next day, that gets walked back. They didn't know anything about his gambling, and $4.5 million was missing. Well, if he knew when he's betting on European soccer, then I don't care. But if this guy lost $4.5 million gambling, now you got a problem, right? And you can't tell me you work for the Los Angeles Dodgers or the Los Angeles Angels previous to that, and Ohtani, and you're privy to inside information on your team, other teams, and you're not going to use that information to try to get yourself out of a hole. I am going to be shocked if we don't hear that there was betting on Major League Baseball games. And I'm not saying Ohtani did it, not in any way, shape, or form. The question's going to become, the guy who supposedly now used his name, Rick talked about this morning on the show, used Ohtani's name to get himself enough credit. So, again, there's a lot to unpack here, and we've got to wait for more information. As it stands today, he's done nothing except be one of the most stupid human beings on the face of the earth. You don't suspend somebody for that. If you're going to do that, then, we're going to suspend most of Major League Baseball and everybody else. But again, there's a lot to come. Nelson Cruz signed with the Mariners for one-day retirement. That's pretty cool. That news did slip under the radar because I did not hear it. I don't even see it on my news update here. So that's nice. It's nice that they do that, Again, same thing here. Heroic debut. So Soto's throw. It's a great. Listen, Juan Soto's a really great hitter. Juan Soto's not a great defensive player. This throw he made yesterday, good for him. Threw the guy out at home. Throw is up the line, by the way, if you didn't notice. It's a routine Major League Baseball play. You got to throw that guy out. I mean, as I watched the replay, the guy was out by about 4 steps, and it should have been an easier play than it was. And the catcher really kind of saved the day there in my mind. But again, I don't want to take anything away from Soto. He gets credit for the game-winning assist, if you will. So, good for him. And Trevino made a great play at home plate. So, good stuff. Good stuff to start the season. Let me look at a couple other things that happened yesterday that might be of interest. 3-time MVP Mike Trout starts with a home run. Gotta play a lot of games out there, Mike Trout. We talked about Burns delivered the first. Again, it's a great pitching performance. Yeah, 6 innings. Great pitching performances used to include complete games, by the way. But it was a truly, really good pitching performance. 11 strikeouts in 6 innings. And the Baltimore Orioles. And they need to stop being called upstarts. I heard this phrase used several times in describing them winning this game yesterday. They're not upstarts, guys. They won 100 games last year. So anyway, those are good starts. What else happened around the league? We had Ohtani getting his standing ovation, if you will. Bryan Cranston was there announcing the opening day lineups. Dodgers starting lineup began with 3 straight MVPs, Betts, Ohtani, and Freddie Freeman. My pick for MVP this year. A little worried about the Dodgers and Mookie Betts playing shortstop every day. I don't know how long this experiment will last. He made a fairly seamless transition to second base last year. I don't know if he can make that same transition here to shortstop day in and day out. We'll see. Again, in Cincinnati, we talked about it's kind of the beauty of baseball. And as John Sterling says, anything can happen. And you always see something you never think you're going to see. I didn't even know the name, and maybe Drew did. I didn't really know the name Nick Martini before this morning. And honestly, I don't know how many people would have. He's been in professional baseball for more than a decade with barely a season's worth of Major League at-bats to show for it. He's 33 years old. It's the first time he ever made an opening day roster. And his first at bat, he homered. And just because it felt so good, he did it again in his second at bat. That's why baseball's fun. Great stories. Kevin Myers, how are you this morning? Good to see you. Or hear you. Or read you. Do you think Major League Baseball should go to it? No, I don't. Hamstring pulls or, like you said, more spring training. There needs to be more off-season conditioning, and there needs to be more conditioning done for baseball-related training, okay? That's just me talking. I don't know. Listen, I'm not a personal trainer. Take a look at me. But I know these guys are lifting weights and doing a lot of work, a lot of them. But we're straining. You're not building a core to me. You're not building your base. You're not building. You're not training for baseball-related activities. The day in and day out pounding of the baseball season, right? Do I think we should make the season shorter? No, but I think that we need a different type of training regime. The Yankees, in particular, stop bringing in physicists from MIT to figure out God knows what kind of metrics we've got to figure out. How about we bring in some baseball trainers and get these guys doing baseball related activities, training activities. Don't shorten the season. The part of the and I know Kenny Gifford, I don't think Kenny's with us today, and I really hate talking when people aren't here, but Kenny talks a lot about shortening the season to 100 games or whatever, 80 games. I don't want that. You see what you saw in COVID? I know you're not talking about going to 60 games, Kevin, but to me, the really cool part about baseball is that it's a marathon, 162 games. You have got to be able to withstand the day in and day out grind of baseball for 4 months, 5 months. I don't want to shorten it. Sure, lengthen spring training a little bit. Maybe they should play a little more in spring training. Most of these guys they don't get a ton of at-bats, a lot of them, right? Pitchers don't throw enough. We'll get into that whole debacle. But, there are definitely more injuries than there's ever been before in Major League Baseball, for sure, Kevin. Pablo, the Panda. Sandoval released by the Giants. No surprise there. I doubt he's eating bamboo, by the way. He doesn't look like he's eating bamboo. He looks like he's eating ice cream like me. That's what he looks like. So, great player and a fun player to watch. This guy'd swing at anything. He was a really good hitter in his prime, and I liked watching him play. He was one of my favorite guys to watch play. But, obviously, time is undefeated against everybody. So, Kenny and I signed one-day contracts with the Perth Red Raiders and retired. Well, you can't do that because that's politically incorrect. They're not you can't be the Red Raiders. You're offending all kinds of people, Rick. Kidding. And put the solar farm, the old football field. Is there a solar farm there now? I haven't been by there in a couple of years now. And it would, every time I would come up that way and get near the school, which wasn't often, I'd always get out and walk the fields where the baseball field was. I'd go out and stand at shortstop, and I'd wonder how I made this throw without even, having to attach a rocket to the ball. But would walk down by where the football field was and the concession was, and things are a lot different. Time does move on, right? And you guys should have your numbers retired for sure. Or retire as Red Raiders. Retire your numbers too. Well, unfortunately, I agree with this too, Kevin, but you can't do that and have the extended playoffs that we have. I'd be all for this and go back. Now, again, I can't go back in time. I understand. Let's go back 30 years. And get rid of the 3 divisions, go back to 2 divisions and a division, 2 division winners and 2 championship series. And part of my problem with baseball is it's the postseason's watered down now. And congratulations to the Diamondbacks for getting there. But in other years, they wouldn't even have made it. Not even years where there was just divisions and you had to win your division. And before that, you youngsters, you had to win the league because there was only one American League and National League. You either won the pennant or you didn't. Then you had two divisions. But the Diamondbacks wouldn't even have made it a lot of years when there was one wild card or two wild cards. And just go back to two divisions. And we can start mid-April. We don't need to be pitching in snowstorms and crap load of postponements. I don't know if we have any today yet. I don't think we do. We'll look at the schedule here in a little bit too. Right now, the Mets and what are the Mets doing here? I'll get you back to your comments in just a second, guys. And we'll see what other kind of things of note happened yesterday. The Brewers are gone ahead 3-1 now. The Mets are going to have a tough year. I don't see the Mets winning 80 games. I really don't. Quintana roughed up for 6 hits and a couple of runs in 4 2/3 innings. He throws 85 pitches in 4 innings. Man, got to throw strikes. Freddie Peralta pitching well, though, for the Brewers. 6 innings, 1 hit, 8 strikeouts, and 1 run. Pitching well. So anyway, there's your scores for now. No rainouts so far that I can see. What do you got here, Chris? New Yorkers are known to like their chili dogs. I think with our big, faster mode today, focus on entertainment in today's new generation. The players need to be jacked to maintain the new performance level. Well, yeah, if we're worried about guys hitting 50 home runs a year, to me, it's not important that we have a bunch of guys hitting 40 and 50 home runs. I could care less. I want to see good baseball. I want to see well-played games, fundamentally well-played games, well-pitched, good defense. I'm okay with 2-1 games. That's not entertainment focused, right? Just like football and the new rule changes. Baseball changes, and I harp on this forever. Almost every rule change since 1968 has been in favor of offensive baseball. And there aren't too many that you can tell me about that would defy that. The pitchers can't get a break. So, but again, yes, so that goes to what I'm saying. I got to bulk up and be, Gabe Kapler is a great example. When he played, he was bulked up. And this isn't new, but this has gone back a ways. The guy, and they didn't have big careers. Who had these big muscular physiques that lasted a long, long time? And I'm not talking about the steroid guys necessarily, but maybe these guys are on steroids before that even. Who knows? I mean, the more muscles, that's why I don't pull muscles. I don't have any left. Just kidding. But you're not wrong, Chris. Kevin, 145 games, I was thinking. I'm really, again, 162. I'm not saying it could never happen, right? We went to 162 from 154 in 1960, if you remember. Well, you don't remember, but probably I was born that year myself. And of course, we had the asterisk season, at least for a while, where Roger Maris broke Babe Ruth's record, but in 162 games, not 154. I'm really not in favor of reducing the number of games. I like 162. Maybe just because that's what I've lived with my entire life, and I really don't want to see that change. I don't want to see the season shortened and continue to put more teams in the postseason, which will probably happen at some point. It's already diluted. We can start the season later and end it when we do now, or even a little sooner, by eliminating a couple of postseason entries, which won't happen because it makes too much sense. And baseball doesn't do things that make sense as a rule. Thank you for your opinion, Kevin. Certainly warranted. And listen, you're not wrong. Something needs to change. You should not be playing games from, you pretty soon will be getting to the middle of March to the middle of November. Baseball's not meant to be played in November. And unfortunately, the answer is going to become shortening the season. Then you're going to have the Players Association saying, because it's going to hurt contracts. There's a lot of things that go into making changes like that. I don't want to see that. There's already too many teams in the postseason. Just have one wild card. So I'm imagining the yup is for solar fields on the old football field. Did you go in and run run a slalom through them, Rick? Careful if you do. Drew says, nice to see Langford, Churio, Keith Colt. No, I didn't think you meant me. And others not intimidated by being in the bigs on their first days. It does seem kids are better prepared, most kids, for the majors today, right? And it's easier to do it, I think, in places like Milwaukee, Texas, probably, than New York. But we saw Volpe last year, pretty much ready for prime time. Derek Jeter obviously was ready for prime time, but there's a lot of kids that aren't. I think in smaller markets, it's probably a little bit easier. But yes, it always is nice to see that some young blood come up, and it's nice to see the Rangers. I know I badmouth them a lot. Not playing the service time game with Langford, which I think, Drew, you can correct me if I'm wrong, they had the opportunity to do. They could have brought him up in May or June or whatever it might have been and saved a year of service time and kept him from arbitration another year and free agency another year, away from free agency another year. And they didn't do that. They put winning now ahead of, you're going to pay these guys anyway. Difference is it makes if you pay them a year sooner or a year later. Chris talked to Kevin Mensch about the shift, which let me read your comment first. I will tell you before I read the comment, just so we're full disclosure, I'm against the rules that ban the shift. You can easily stop teams from shifting on you by just playing baseball the way it was meant. Hit the ball where there is nobody standing. So anyway, I'll read the rest of your comment. He said, just hit it the other way. Thank you. But he solidified the difference in pitching and hitting when pitchers were the talk of the league throwing 94 miles an hour. It was easier to go the other way because guys didn't throw as hard as today. I agree with that, but I don't agree with that. When Tony Gwynn was almost hitting 400, they weren't going to shift against him, obviously, because he would go the other way. And there were plenty of guys throwing 94, 98. There's more guys throwing 100 today. So I got to agree with you. But still, it's not like you didn't ever see a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, 99. So hitters need to be able to adapt. And I don't agree with putting in rules to artificially change the game, right? Batting averages are too low, so we ban the shift instead of teaching guys to hit the ball where there's nobody standing and not through the shift. It seems funny to me. Why would it be any harder to go the other way than it would be to pull everything with a guy throwing the ball harder? That's why I don't buy into that argument quite so much. Now, Kevin Mensch knows more about the game than I do. I hope. Again, all these rules, you want more base stealing, so you don't let the pitcher throw over more than twice, and you make the bases bigger. They've made the bases bigger, they said, because of injuries and whatnot. That's a bunch of malarkey. They shortened the baseline is what they did, so you artificially now have enhanced the stolen base numbers. See, I don't like putting in rules that help players who can't make adjustments on their own. Oh, anyway, that's just me. No, I'll break a hip. Let me see if I got this. Kevin Mensch. So again, Kevin Mensch probably knows more than me. I mean, if he doesn't, I'd be shocked. Rick is not going to be running the solar panels. Miguel Andujar's comeback with the A's derailed right knee lateral meniscus surgery. Chris and I talked about that last week. Both he and I were happy that he was getting a chance with the lowly A's, and he'd had a really good spring. And he got hurt the end of last week. I still, and I think Chris is on the same page with me, really believe the Yankees, after he got hurt, he had a great rookie year, got hurt, and I think the Yankees just jerked him around too much, and kind of, hurt his confidence. And, again, New York's a hard place to get your confidence back once it's gone. Ask Aaron Hicks. Ask 100 freaking guys. Ask Ed Whitson, But we wish Andujar well, and I hope he does come back, and I hope he gets another chance. Vogelbach makes the Blue Jays. Geez, don't they have a weight limit in Toronto? How much does I don't know, what's the metric unit for a pound in Canada, Chris? I want to know what Vogelbach weighs in Canada. Oh, I shouldn't really get on fat guys because I'm a fat guy. Pitchers in the Perfect League, which is the college league, Perfect Game League, right? I never remember the name of the league, but it's a summer college league that Rick follows. The Amsterdam Mohawks. There's teams in Cooperstown and all across the Northeast here, northeastern part of New York State, Albany, Watertown, a lot of places. It's in a really good league. It's mostly made up of Division I baseball players, some Division II. Even I think maybe even Rick, you can correct me, but maybe even a couple of high schoolers here and there. But it's really good baseball, and they're pitching in the 90s. So really good baseball for sure. Miami's AAA team sounds like something out of Forrest Gump, the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. Major Dan. Who's their manager? Major Dan? Unbelievable. Can't make this stuff up. What else happened yesterday? That was some of the good. And the bad, Drew talked about Royce Lewis, came up limping in Kansas City, first overall pick in 2017. Should be a household name, and you're supposed to recognize him immediately. This is now, he tore his ACL in 2022. He tore it again. 2021, tore it again in 22. And those large absences, as I'm reading here, have kept him anonymous. I know Royce Lewis. I know Drew knows Royce Lewis because he drafted him. And he was expected to have a pretty good year for the Twins this year. And we'll see what happens here. I think it's a quad injury, if I'm not mistaken. Another injury I don't remember ever happening in the 70s. Did anybody ever have a quad injury or an oblique injury in the 70s? I didn't. Maybe I didn't have any. I don't know. We talked about Cabrera going 2 for 4 yesterday for the Yankees, including a game-tying home run. And we need that with the Yankees. Tyler Wade, who I've kind of been critical of, played a crucial role in a late inning rally for the Padres yesterday. And then Justin Steele, we talked about, who emerged last year with the Cubs to become their number 1 starter. And I believe he was an all-star last year, if I'm not mistaken. He hurt his hamstring fielding a bunt. Again, these guys don't get trained. You shouldn't get hurt. It's, to go to Kevin's point earlier, shortening the season is not the issue. When guys are getting hurt and pulling a hamstring, fielding a bunt, there's something wrong with their training, not the length of games we're playing. So, and again, my tone, Kevin, I'm not belittling your opinion because, again, something needs to happen. But to me, it doesn't matter if you play 120 games. He was going to hurt his hamstring yesterday fielding that bunt. Let's see. A couple other things that happened yesterday. Betts and Manny Machado homered during the South Korea series, but in their first domestic home run was by Trout. in the first inning of Thursday's game. So that's kind of cool. Let's see if Trout needs to really reclaim his position as one of the top players in baseball. And to me, the only thing he needs to do that is stay healthy. Burns, we said about Corbin Burns, he did give up that home run to Trout, but he went on to have a great outing. Even, again, it's hard for me to say great outing when you pitch 6 innings, but and I'd like to think he's working towards pitching 9 innings, but that's unlikely to happen very often. You got some guys who are going to have to find their victories where they can find them, like Chicago, Miami, and LA Angels. Colt Keith, we talked about early. He got his first career hit on an infield single. And the pitcher who gave it up was 24-year-old White Sox lefty Garrett Crochet. How can that be? Oh, yeah, I got you. Tigers rookie. My bad there. He took the loss, emerging 1-0. Tyler Skobel pitched really well. 6 scoreless innings to get the win. I like this kid, and he was my pick, if you could hear me, to win the Cy Young award. Oh, I don't know. Again, to me, I still like, just to go back to the beginning, I'll get back to your comments here in a second. Now we got a bigger audience, and I'll throw this out there again. I don't like what Major League Baseball doesn't do the right job of marketing its history, taking advantage of its history. We have opening day 2 weeks before, or week and a half, whatever, before everybody else plays, a week, whatever. Semantics. No, it's not semantics, or actual things. A week before everybody else comes back and plays exhibition games. So we don't open up. The national pastime doesn't open up in this nation. It opens up in Korea. And we don't allow, half the games were played at night, some of them in East Coast cities. We don't get to have that Cincinnati Red wonderful standalone opening day that was a tradition for decades in Major League Baseball to honor the history of the Cincinnati Redlegs, the first professional team in Major League Baseball as such. Now everybody plays, and it's okay. But can we at least open the season in this country? Can the national pastime, and it still is in a lot of ways. I know football's past it in popularity in a lot of ways, but can't the national pastime, or what used to be the national pastime, if you want it to be the national pastime again, can't you have opening day here? I mean, am I asking a lot? Rick says the high school players play until the college kids come in, and the perfect, isn't it perfect pitch? Is it perfect? No, perfect game. I don't know what they call this league. You gotta help me out here, Rick. I know it's, I like to say, I still want to say it's a perfect game league, but I don't remember. No quads, just duos and triplets. Oh my God. I think I injured a quad now just laughing. Brandon Drury's numbers have been growing like Nick Asaski. I shouldn't laugh. Nick Asaski was a good ball player. In what? Help me. 90s, I guess. Chris, I think in the 90s. And then he signed a big contract, I want to say, with the Red Sox. He came up with the Reds. I think he signed a contract either with the Braves or the Red Sox. I can't remember which. And I think he had some serious vertigo issues, which he never really overcame, never lived up to his big contract. Brandon Drury's a journeyman at best. He's had a few good years here and there. Could he hit 30 home runs? Anybody can. If he hits 50, I'm going to give him the Brady Anderson, closer look, is all I can say. Ryan Presley implodes in his first non-closing outing. I wonder, And I think having him in that bullpen will still be a plus. I mean, if you can pitch the ninth inning, you ought to be able to pitch, the eighth inning or the seventh inning. And I know some guys get a mental block or whatnot, but I think Ryan Presley will be fine. If you have him on your fantasy team, yesterday's numbers are going to haunt you for a while. At least if you're in a cumulative league. I mean, I think all the leagues I'm playing in now are all head-to-head leagues, so once a week's done, it really doesn't matter. But when you're playing in leagues that are cumulative through the entire year, a relief pitcher who goes out and gives up, where is he? Well, not so bad. His numbers aren't so bad now that I look at it. One inning, 2 hits, a run. I thought he had done worse than that. I mean, actually, Valdez pitched worse than him. Cortez picked worse than him. I like what the Yankee bullpen did yesterday, though, for the most part. I mean, Holmes did give up 3 hits, and without the runner getting thrown out at home, maybe loses this game or this game gets tied at the very least. 85 balls thrown by the Yankees yesterday. That is a little bit high for me. That's 200. So the pitch count was 123, 85 strikes. That's not too bad. I'm reading it backwards. That's my bad. Astro pitchers, 171 pitches yesterday. Throw strikes, guys. It's not that hard. 9 walks. I like this Astros pitching staff. This better not be indicative of what they're going to do out there. Valdez with 6 walks in 4 2/3 innings. That's a bad start, man. What do we got going on today? Let's look at the schedule and the matchups today. We're already got, as I said, let's look at that scoreboard one more time. I think there's 2 games in play right now. Hold on. Trying to get back to my scores. There we are. Friday. The Brewers are now still ahead of the Mets 3-1, and the game is Mike Tonkin for the. That's good. How the hell am I supposed to know who he's pitching for? There we go. Mike Tonkin is pitching for the. Don't tell me. Yeah, I believe that's for the Mets, and Perkins is up for the. There we go, for the Brewers. That's right. Thank you. That helps. So that game is in progress. It's in the top of the 8th. And the other game underway is the Braves and the Phillies. Nice opening week matchup, Braves and Phillies. Zach Wheeler starting this game has a couple of strikeouts already. And he's pitching. Is he pitching against Fried? Hold on. He is pitching against... Nice outing for Freddie Peralta today, too, by the way, for the Brewers. So Spencer Strider is pitching against Zach Wheeler today. In other games today, actually all tonight, 6:50 is the earliest start here. Toronto's at Tampa Bay. Chris Bassett against Savali. Pittsburgh has Martin Perez going against Miami and A.J. Puck. New York Yankees against Houston again. Carlos Rondon. Put your helmets on, guys. If you're in the stands tonight, put your helmets on and be prepared if he gets, he's on the road. He likes to flip the bird too. So keep the kids where you can see him. Against Christian Javier. Boston will be at Seattle. Nick Pivetta against George Kirby. Not the old comedian, but the really good young Seattle. It shows you how old I am. I know George Kirby. I know that you know him. You got to know him, Drew. Not sure if anybody else, maybe Rick remembers him. These guys aren't that funny anymore. The only guy from back then I find funny anymore is Don Rickles. Cleveland at Oakland, Logan Allen against Ross Stripling. There you go, Drew. Ross Stripling gets game 2 start for Oakland. We'll see if they can manage to get, 5,000 people in the stands. Oakland stays at Arizona. Quantrill against Merrill Kelly. San Francisco Giants. By the way, Giants are one of my surprise picks for this season. And as I looked at some more prognostication since our preview show, there's quite a few people that like the Giants to do better than expected this year. That'll be Kyle Harrison against Joe Musgrove, and then the Cardinals at the Dodgers. Zach Thompson against Bobby Miller, a guy that I know Drew likes a little bit too. Drury hit 28 homers in 22 and 26 last year. Won't give away any bats. Listen, this guy had did he go back to the late 80s, Nasaski? He finally hit 30 home runs, and maybe I'm thinking of somebody different than Nasaski. Did he have some bad years before that final year with 30 home runs, Drew? Because I seem to remember Saski signing a big contract and having some serious inner ear issues or whatnot. By the way, Brandon Drury is a good guy to have on a team, but if he's and again, the numbers look fine. You're not going to win a lot of games with Brandon Drury playing every day in your lineup. It's not. By the way, and another example of a guy who can't play in New York. I have this argument with Jack Hirsch all the time. He thinks that my argument is totally bogus, that, New York's got nothing to do with guys' poor performance. And, Aaron Hicks, the Yankees should have been ashamed for getting rid of Aaron Hicks because he went to Baltimore and played well. Well, he couldn't play in New York and didn't play in New York except for 1 year. He had a good year, 6 years. The rest of his 6 years there were awful. Some guys can't play there. Brandon Drury is another great example. Came in the year that Andujar was first hurt. And I think he got hurt, in fairness to him, but still didn't make it here. It's not the easiest place. I'm still going to say, and I don't care whether you talk about Chicago, LA, other big markets, Boston could be on the level close. Philadelphia and Boston are the only places I'd put even close to being able to play in New York. And I'm not just baseball, basketball, whatever we want to talk about. It's not easy to play here. Football, it's not so hard because you're not playing in New York, you're playing in New Jersey. Don't get me going. Stephen Vought's first kick out of the can managing Cleveland. Interesting, as the bulk of the boys were under Tito's unique command from last year. I have the Indians having a really bad year and finishing fourth in that division, just only because the White Sox are holding up the bottom of it. He's just playing 2 years ago, I believe, Stephen Vaught. So good luck to him. But, in looking at those prognosticators outside of myself and Drew, a couple of guys like Cleveland's chances to, at least compete in this division. But it's only because the division is not that strong. I mean, there's some guys that will tell you they don't think that they'll win. They won't have a team over 500. Yeah, I thought he had some issues. Good ball player in his day, though. 2 minutes to go. Thank you, Drew. We're going to wrap it up here today, guys. Thanks for joining us. That's our Major League Baseball update for today. We'll be back next Friday with another edition. You can catch me Sunday on the Stream of Consciousness. Where's my music? Come on, music. Where are you? There we go. You can catch me Sunday with the Stream of Consciousness at 8:30 Eastern Time Sunday morning live. You come in and you guys drive this show. The topics are yours, and I'll give you some primers, but we'll have some fun with that. And then we'll see you Wednesday with College Sports Huddle, and right back on Friday with the Are You Serious show, and then this one. Guys, have a great weekend. Great talking to you, and we'll see you later. Have a good night, guys.